100 days. Today, on Mother's Day, Nancy Guthrie has been missing for exactly 100 days. And her daughter, Savannah, did something this morning that stopped the entire internet cold. She posted a video, a quiet, simple, devastating 44-second compilation of home videos and family photographs. Nancy laughing, Nancy taking selfies, Nancy holding her grandchildren, Nancy, at one point, looking directly at the camera and saying two words, "Miss you." And underneath that video, Savannah wrote words that no daughter should ever have to write. "Mother, daughter, sister, Nonie, we miss you with every breath. We will never stop looking for you. We will never be at peace until we find you. We need help. Someone knows something that can make the difference." 100 days, a Mother's Day without a mother, and a plea from a daughter that reached across every screen in America this morning and broke something open in people's chests. But today did not bring only grief, it brought fury too, because the director of the FBI, one of the most powerful law enforcement officials in the United States, went on record this week and said something about the sheriff leading this investigation that has never been said publicly before. He said the FBI was kept out. Today, we break down everything. The Mother's Day plea that moved the nation, the FBI director's bombshell accusation, the mixed DNA now being analyzed at Quantico, and what it all means as this case enters its second 100 days. Legal disclaimer, spoken. The information in this video is based on publicly available reports and verified news sources. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. All persons mentioned are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. For anyone just joining this series, here is what you need to know. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, the beloved co-host of NBC's Today Show. She lived alone in a quiet, upscale neighborhood in the Catalina foothills just outside Tucson, Arizona. On the evening of January 31st, 2026, her son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, dropped her home after a family dinner at approximately 9:45 p.m. He watched her go inside safely. That was the last confirmed sighting of Nancy Guthrie. The next morning, she did not show up for her regular church live stream. Family arrived to check on her. Her phone was still inside. Her prescriptions were untouched, but Nancy was gone. Blood was found at the scene, later confirmed through DNA testing to be hers. Her Ring doorbell camera was disconnected at 1:47 a.m. on February 1st. A separate Nest camera captured a masked individual approaching her home at 2:12 a.m., carrying a stuffed backpack and what appeared to be a holstered weapon. Nancy's pacemaker app disconnected from her phone at 2:28 a.m., the moment she was taken far enough away from her device to lose connection. This was not random. This was not an accident. Every detail of that night, the camera disconnection, the timing, the masked figure, the weapon, points to something planned, calculated, and deliberate. And today, 100 days later, not a single suspect has been publicly named. They delivered some of the most emotionally and forensically significant updates this case has seen. Let's go through every single one. The Mother's Day plea that broke the internet. Yesterday, on Mother's Day, Savannah Guthrie posted a video to her Instagram that, within hours, became one of the most shared pieces of content connected to this case since it began. It was 44 seconds long. No music, no dramatic editing, just Nancy Guthrie, alive, laughing, present in moments captured over years of a family's life together, taking selfies with Savannah, sitting with her grandchildren, living the ordinary, extraordinary life of a mother and grandmother who had no idea that one evening in January would be the last time her family would see her walk through a door safely. And then, in one clip, Nancy looks at the camera and says it. Two words, quiet and warm and completely unaware of the weight they would one day carry. Miss you. Savannah's caption underneath that video was not written for television. It was not written for a press conference. It was written by a daughter who has spent 100 days not knowing where her mother is. Mother, daughter, sister, Nonie, we miss you with every breath. We will never stop looking for you. We will never be at peace until we find you. We need help. Someone knows something that can make the difference. Someone knows something that can make the difference. That line is not just an emotional appeal. It is a direct message to whoever is out there, whoever planned this, whoever helped, whoever drove the car, whoever has been sitting on information for 100 days, that the family has not given up, that they are still looking, that they believe the answer exists in a human being who has not yet made the call. Savannah's husband, Mike Feldman, also posted publicly in support of his wife, a quiet but visible declaration that this family is standing together in a way that 100 days of silence and uncertainty has not broken. FBI Director Kash Patel goes public. This is the development that has sent shockwaves through law enforcement circles this week. FBI Director Kash Patel, the most powerful investigative agency in the United States, went on record to say that the FBI was initially plucked out of the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Not delayed, not slow to be plucked out. Those are two very different things. Being slow to be is His words, "We do not like interagency squabbles. Nobody likes that. That does not help the investigation." The Pima County Sheriff's Department pushed back. They released a statement saying the FBI was promptly notified by both the department and the Guthrie family. But the fact that the FBI director himself chose to go public with the accusation on the record, by name, directly criticizing a local sheriff's department is extraordinary. FBI directors do not typically do that. When they do, it means something serious went wrong. Mixed DNA being analyzed at Quantico. On the forensic front, the most significant update in weeks, the FBI is now reportedly analyzing mixed DNA recovered from inside Nancy Guthrie's home. Mixed DNA means DNA from more than one person was found at the scene. That is a critical forensic detail for two reasons. First, it potentially gives investigators a direct biological sample from the person or persons who entered Nancy's home that night. If that DNA profile can be extracted and matched against any database of genealogical profiles, this investigation moves from speculation to identification overnight. Second, mixed DNA is forensically allows to analyze the same profile. It requires advanced laboratory techniques to separate and identify. Now, here is the detail from this week that has not received nearly enough attention. Sheriff Chris Nanos, the man at the center of the FBI conflict, the man whose department has been under fire for months, has publicly stated that he has an idea of the motive behind Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. He said this on record. He knows, or believes he knows, why someone targeted an 84-year-old woman living alone in the Catalina foothills. And he has not shared it. Think about what that means. 100 days, a family pleading publicly on Mother's Day for anyone with information to come forward, a daughter writing that someone knows something that can make the difference, and the sheriff leading the investigation sitting on what he believes is the motive, refusing to make it public. There are legitimate investigative reasons to withhold motive information. Revealing motive can tip off a suspect, it can contaminate witness testimony, it can compromise a prosecution. These are real considerations. But after 100 days, with the FBI director publicly saying his agency was kept out of an investigation, with a community living in fear, with a family spending Mother's Day without their mother, The silence around motive feels like one of the loudest and most consequential silences in this entire case. Adding another layer, authorities previously confirmed that gloves found near Nancy's home did not match any data in the National CODIS DNA database. The FBI also contacted Mexican authorities after multiple tips suggested Nancy may have been taken across the border, but investigators confirmed there is no evidence she crossed the southern border into Mexico. Every tip that gets eliminated narrows the geography of where the truth lives, and that geography is getting smaller by the day. Let's sit with what today really means, because day 100 on Mother's Day is not just a number on a calendar. For Savannah Guthrie, today was the first Mother's Day of her adult life where she could not call her mother, could not send flowers, could not sit across a table and eat a meal and be ordinary together in the way that families take completely for granted until it is gone. Instead, she sat down and built a 44-second video from the pieces of a life she is still fighting to get back, and then she asked strangers for help. That takes a kind of courage that is hard to put into words. The FBI director's public accusation against the sheriff is psychologically significant for a different reason. When the head of the FBI goes on the record to say his agency was kept out of an investigation, he is not just criticizing a local department. He is sending a message to every law enforcement agency in the country that this case has the attention of the highest levels of federal authority. That message has consequences. It creates pressure, it creates accountability, and it tells whoever is responsible for Nancy's disappearance that the full weight of the federal government is now pointed in their direction. The mixed DNA is perhaps the most psychologically hopeful detail of all, because DNA does not lie. DNA does not get tired. DNA does not care how powerful or careful or well-connected the person who left it might be. It sits in a laboratory in Quantico waiting to be matched to a name. And when that match comes, if it comes, it will arrive not as a rumor or a theory or a social media post. It will arrive as scientific fact. 100 days. The investigation is not over. The family has not stopped. The FBI is not walking away. And somewhere out today of all days, I want to ask you something personal. 100 days, Mother's Day, Savannah's video, the FBI Director's Bombshell, the mixed DNA at Quantico. My question for you today is this. If you could send one message to Savannah Guthrie and her family on this Mother's Day, what would you say? And do you believe the mixed DNA evidence will be the breakthrough that finally gives this family the answers they deserve? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Today, more than any other day, I want to hear from you. Part 7. My opinion. I have been covering this case since day one, and I want to tell you honestly what today felt like to me. I watched Savannah's video this morning. I watched Nancy look at the camera and say, "Miss you," and I had to sit with that for a moment before I could write a single word of this script, because that is not a case detail. That is not a forensic update or a press conference statement or a legal filing. That is a mother, alive and laughing and completely unaware that one day her daughter would use those two words, "miss you," as a reminder to the world that she is still out there, still waiting to be found, still deserving of answers. The FBI director going public this week was significant. It was unusual. And I believe it signals something important, that the pressure on this investigation from the very top of federal law enforcement is now at a level that the Pima County Sheriff's Department cannot ignore or deflect. Whatever friction existed between those agencies, whatever personal grudges or institutional pride got in the way, the message from Washington this week was clear. Get it together. Find her. The mixed DNA is the detail I am watching most closely, because if a clean profile is extracted from that evidence, forensic genetic genealogy could identify the suspect within weeks, not months, weeks. 100 days is a long time, but it is not forever, and the truth has a way of surviving longer than the secrets that try to bury it. Nancy Guthrie, wherever you are, this channel has not forgotten you, and we never will. Here is what you need to watch for as this case enters its second 100 days. The mixed DNA analysis at Quantico is the single most important development in this investigation right now. If a clean profile is extracted from that evidence, forensic genetic genealogy could identify the suspect within weeks, not months, weeks. The FBI director has now publicly drawn a line. The acting attorney general has promised full federal cooperation. The sheriff is sitting on a motive he has not shared, and a family spent Mother's Day begging strangers for help. Something is building in this case. The pieces are moving. The pressure is mounting from the very top of the United States government, and the DNA evidence is sitting in the most advanced forensic laboratory in the world right now, being taken apart molecule by molecule. When it breaks, and I believe it will break, this channel will be right here. Subscribe, turn on notifications, because day 101 could be the day everything changes. Nancy Guthrie has been missing for 100 days. Her daughter spent Mother's Day pleading for her return, and this channel will never stop covering this case until there are answers. Stay aware, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.